I don't know who needs to hear this, but the Miami Dolphins are winning the fucking Super Bowl. Now listen, football season is one.
Hey, what about
Damn,
me?
haven't I talked about you enough? Get out of here, all right? That's right. Now, I know we've been spamming the Dame content, and we usually talk Miami Heat, but we are 1 week away from football season. You know I'm super excited, and I want to tell you exactly how the Miami Dolphins season is going to go. And I do want to just put a little disclaimer out there. This is not an opinion. I am a prophet, and this is exactly how the season is going to go. We're going to go game by game, do a little win-loss, starting week 1, a week from today, versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Miami Dolphins are going to blow that ass out. Let me tell you why. Last game versus them was a big struggle. I was very hyped going into it. I said this is where Tua solidifies himself as the best quarterback in that draft. Of course, going against Justin Herbert. I put a ton of money on the anonymous player prop betting app that does not sponsor me, so I will not say their name. I put the over on Tua and on Hill and on Waddle, and the Dolphins did nothing. I think the only play they had that game was when Tyreek picked up that fumble and ran like 60 yards for a touchdown, and they did nothing else. They shut Tua down. They did a good job, the Chargers did, of blocking the middle or covering the middle of the field, which is where Tua loved to operate last year. But this is the year Tua gets his revenge. The Dolphins get a monster win and start out 1-0. Going into the next game at New England versus the Patriots, you think Tua's losing to Mac Jones? I think not. Dolphins up 2-0. Going into the third game versus the Denver Broncos, you think they're losing to Broncos country? Let's ride. No. Russell Wilson is super washed up, and the Dolphins are starting the season 3-0. Moving on to the Bills in Buffalo. The first true match of the year, in my opinion. Now, of course, for years past, the Buffalo Bills used to dominate the Dolphins until last season, where the Dolphins, yes, they lost a close one in Buffalo, but they did win a close one in Miami. The crazy game, by the way, if y'all remember, Buffalo couldn't get the snap off for the field goal. It was crazy. I was streaming the game on my TV, and the internet actually glitched as soon as they were trying to rush to get that last snap off, and then the whole thing went out. And I'm saying, did they get it off? Did they get it off? 15 seconds later, it comes back, and you hear Kevin Harlan saying, the Miami Dolphins have taken down the Bills. And that's exactly what's going to happen again in this game. Now, of course, even the playoff game, with Skylar Thompson, we almost beat them again. I think the Bills are on the down, Dolphins are on the up and up, and the Dolphins beat the Bills in Buffalo to start 4-0. Moving on, at home versus the New York Giants, that team sucks. Now, a lot of people might not think that, and if my boy Shay's watching this video, he's a Giants fan, sorry, buddy. But the Dolphins are going to kick that ass and start the season 5-0. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers in the first game of back-to-back weeks of Alabama quarterback competition. Tua is not going to lose this game versus Bryce Young. He's going to cement himself as the best quarterback to ever come out of Alabama, especially after beating Mac Jones earlier this year. And the Dolphins are going to dominate the Carolina Panthers and start a monster 6-0. And then we go into Philadelphia versus Jalen Hurts, another guy a lot of people say is the best Alabama quarterback ever. And I'm gonna relax it a little bit. I'm gonna give the Dolphins their first L here. Now, going into the video, I promised myself I wasn't gonna be too biased, and I really did no prep before starting this video. So I'm just coming out speaking from the heart here. And I realize I have the Dolphins 6-0, and they are gonna lose at some point. And Philadelphia is a really, really good team. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Dolphins their first L versus them, and Jalen Hurts probably will show out, but maybe we'll see them again in February. Who knows? We ain't going that far in this video. Moving on, Dolphins back home versus the New England Patriots, and I have the Dolphins taking another L. I know I said they would never lose to Mac Jones, but after having such a great start to the season, you get a little humbled by Philadelphia. What would be the most Dolphin thing? You expect them to bounce back? No. They're going to get their ass handed to them by Mac Jones and the New England Patriots at home, because that's the Dolphins. And if you've been a Dolphins fan for a while, I'm pretty sure you can see that happening. That being said, the next week, sitting at 6-2, they go into Kansas City to face the Chiefs, who currently have the best record in the NFL at the time, I'm guessing. The Miami Dolphins are going to blow the doors off of the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to get a Tyreek Hill revenge game back in Kansas City. No, actually, Isn't that? It is. That game is in London, actually. That sucks. Or maybe it's not in London, but it's overseas somewhere. But anyways, the Dolphins are going to beat the Chiefs because that's the most Dolphin thing to do. I mean, y'all know what I'm saying when I say the Dolphins are going to Dolphin. It pretty much means the most unexpected outcome that you think to happen is what it seems like typically happens with them. I can't explain it, but after losing to the stupid Patriots, they're going to beat the Chiefs. I have the Dolphins at 7-2. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Easy win, 8-2 for the Dolphins. Then we're moving on at New York versus the Jets for their first bout versus Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook, and the new look Jets. And things were pretty high for the Dolphins after beating the Chiefs. I do have them taking another L here that sits them at 7-3, but it's okay. It's the road game versus the Jets. We'll have one more game down the line to play them. Moving on, you got an easy game versus the Commanders. Unfortunately, I saw that their backup quarterback is Jacoby Brissett. And I could see there being a Jacoby Brissett revenge game. So for that reason, I have the Dolphins taking an L and putting them at 7-5. All things seem to be falling off the rails for the Dolphins. You think it was too good to be true after looking like you could be contenders the first 6 games of the year. Things have fallen to crap. But it's all good because the next game is versus the Titans at home. That's a dub. They're not losing to whoever the hell their starting quarterback is going to be at the time, whether I think they still have Tannehill or one of the young guys. The Dolphins win, move to 8-4. Then you get the revenge against the Jets at home. You got 9-4. They're not losing to that game. They're not losing to the Jets twice. Then you play the Cowboys at home, Christmas Eve. All of America is going to be rooting for the Cowboys, and the Dolphins going to beat they ass. 10-4 Miami Dolphins. Moving on, you got the game in Baltimore versus the Ravens. And I think I definitely counted the record wrong. Hold on, let me recount this. Okay, I think I currently have the Dolphins at 12-3. Going into Baltimore to play the Ravens, a place they used to never win. But after Brian Flores didn't want to play Tua, and then he was forced to bring the guy back in with the broken middle finger, whatever he had, and they beat the Ravens too. That curse is over. The Dolphins will beat the Ravens and move to 13-3. And then they end the game at home versus Buffalo. I don't think they're going to beat Buffalo twice, so let's just say 13-4. That sounds crazy. I know I said I was a prophet, but I low-key want to add another loss or two somewhere in there. Excuse me. But we going to leave it at that. The Miami Dolphins will finish this season 12-5 because I had trouble counting today. You heard it here first. And this is the year that Tua erases all the doubts about him. Either that or it's the last chance I'll give him. Because if he doesn't perform this year, he's dead to me. I don't like saying that, though. He genuinely seems like one of the nicest guys out there. But I really, really believe in this team. I mean, just from a law of averages standpoint, they've been so bad and have had such bad luck for so many years. At some point, it has to turn around. And it's easy for me to say, sitting here being 25 years old and still somewhat ignorant, even though I've watched the Dolphins for almost 15 years now, right? And then you got someone like my dad, who's of course much older, and it hasn't turned around since he was what, in his 20s? When was it? When was 1970? Well, that was, I don't know. I don't feel like doing the math. So it hasn't turned around in a very long time. Of course, even when you had Marino, you had competitive teams, but they couldn't get it done. And there was only 2 or 3 competitive teams after that. But I love this roster, man. I really love it. I mean, I think Tua is the guy. He's got so much unnecessary hate that I just think it's bound to happen that he has to prove everyone wrong. Maybe it's just because he's a nice guy. Or maybe it's because I genuinely think he's talented. And when healthy last year, he was dominant. He really was. This Miami Dolphins offense was unstoppable, led by Tua Tagovailoa last year. I think Tyreek's going to get close to 2,000 yards. I think Jaylen Waddle is going to be top 5, 10 in catches this year. I think the offense is going to continue to be great. I think maybe they revisit Jonathan Taylor in a month. I hope they do get him. But if not, Raheem Mostert looks like he took all that rumors personal. Looks like he really wants to prove himself this year. I know Jeff Wilson is hurt, but they say Devon A-Chain is good. Maybe he comes out and dominates. And I think this is also the year that we can officially look at Mike McDaniel and say, this guy is going to be a great football coach for a long time. He has his faults, believe me. Talking about how he doesn't know how to use timeouts. He never seems to run he can't run a simple play on 4th and inches. He always has to burn a timeout, and sometimes they don't end up getting it anyways. Now, all that's not his fault. I don't know all the ins and outs of who's play calling, all that stuff. But to me, that stuff comes down to the head coach. And I think, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt last year. Obviously, it cost them the playoff game when they reversed Buffalo, and they couldn't get the 4th and inches. They didn't have a timeout left either, so it turned 4th and inches to 4th and 5, and they didn't get it. But he was a rookie head coach. I think those are things that you're going to learn and improve upon. I love Mike McDaniel because he's not afraid to take a chance. And for too long, watching all my Miami Hurricanes coaches and all these Dolphin coaches, they play not to lose, and that's exactly how you lose football games. This guy's not scared to take chances, and it's a beautiful breath of fresh air, in my opinion. Some people thinks he goes too far. I think I like it. I don't know. Maybe I like the guys. Maybe it's because I'm not the actual guy out there on the field, or maybe it's because I actually think that they have an offense that's capable of taking these risks. Just to clarify, that doesn't mean that I wasn't a fan of Brian Flores. I actually loved Brian Flores. I loved how, even though they were losing consistently at points, his teams always played hard, and then obviously was able to go on some impressive winning streaks. I was very mad when they fired Brian Flores, but I do like Mike McDaniel. Now, as far as this team's defense currently, you hope that Vic Fangio does make a tangible difference, because you think they have the pieces to be a very solid defense. Last year, injuries were a big concern. Obviously, Agba ended up losing the season. You had Brandon Jones that missed the season. Xavier Howard was dealing with stuff constantly, and he's only getting older. So hopefully, he's not super old though. I think he might only be 29, 30. So hopefully he can have a healthy year, and that, of course, his workload should be lightened when Jalen Ramsey hopefully comes back by December or some point in December. The point is, I think they have a lot of pieces on offense. I think they have a lot of pieces on defense. 13-4 may be a crazy record, but I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. So that's all I got for this video. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all enjoy the Dolphins content. We'll be talking NBA, of course, Dame, Miami Heat, all that stuff when some news breaks. But until then, leave a like on the video, hit subscribe if you enjoyed, and a week from today, we got NFL football. I'll see y'all later.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.